All right, the show will begin in 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 8, 7. Okay, here we go, man. We are starting the live stream right now. Let's start it off with reading some of the comments right now. Shout out to everybody around the world that is tapped in. Let's start off with, yes, reading the comments while I was out. So good morning to everybody around the world right now. We're going to tap into some very interesting topics as always. So let's see here. Reading chats is what we are going to do right now. So, okay, let's start from the very top, right? Hate Love says, Salam, bro. Hello, Hate Love. Shout out to you, my man. He says, hi, let's go. Morning. Good morning, Hate Love. Hate Love says, your title, man, UK is so racist. LOL, Tongan Trapper, and said UK don't have racism. I could not stop laughing. Well, the reason why Tongan Trapper said that is because he's speaking from a perspective of, let's say, maybe he's seeing only drill rappers from the UK, maybe people from the urban audience from the UK, so maybe he has a different experience or has a different view or has a different way of understanding the world in that particular matter, right? But that's the only way that I could really, understand why he would say that. Hate Love says, hi, Truth Seeker, how are you? Truth Seeker says, I'm pretty good, man, just out here trying to make a dollar. Hate Love says, I hear that. Life is tough in this world, for real. What is, okay, he meant to say man, is, the little typo there. He says, hi, should have been, okay. Okay, I got it, makes sense. Hate Love says, please like, subscribe, it's free. Shout out to you on that. It's tough, man. Everything just keeps getting more expensive. I don't know how Kyrie does it in California. The thing is, Fresh. I'm sorry. The thing is, Truth. I'm sorry. I'm calling you Fresh now. Wrong guy. He hasn't tapped in here yet, I don't think. But well, I don't know, man. I don't know how to really answer that other than look, we all have different different trajectories that we are living, right? We all have different plans in what we do with our life. We all have different opportunities. We all, like, put it like this, right? If there's one thing, that I'll never brag about is wealth, right? I think bragging about wealth is probably the worst thing that you can do, because I need you guys to understand this, right? If you brag about wealth, understand Allah can take that away from you from any time. I mean, how many celebrities have we seen over the past, right, who have made it, who have had a lot of money, who had a lot of assets, who've had a lot of investments, and all of a sudden, all of it was gone in a heartbeat. Same thing, too, with a lot of athletes. We've known a lot of athletes in our days that have this same trajectory, and lo and behold, here they are in in a very destituted situation. So there's times where I will brag about my physical attributes, right? That's one thing that's sports related. This, that, and the other. It kind of goes into my persona as a mixed martial arts podcaster. But the one thing I'll never brag about, and that I could, vehemently be confident about, is I'll never brag about wealth, because we all get lucky. And here's another thing, right? A lot of people who have wealth, I think they have this self-made complex to which they believe that it is only on their own that they were able to do it. And that's just something that I will never admit to, right? Look, there's only so much that you can do, and then the rest of it is predicated on what Allah has bestowed upon you. So Hate Love says, yes, we work hard, do more hours, and still are bleeding money. Soon they will charge us for oxygen. Yes, sad but true. He says hi again. Hate Love says, yes, he did explain to me on the live yesterday. I get him. It was just funny and it helped. Mars says, yo, yo, shout out to Mars. Hi, Mars. Attack, what's up? He says hi. Everybody's saying hi right now. Okay, so let's get to this topic, right? MMA Guru says the following, right? He says that it is as if he is not scared of 125. Well, okay, he's scared of 125 MMA fighters, but not scared of boxers, right? And we're going to find out exactly why he said that and what is his reasoning behind that. Because I kind of agree with him, and then I don't. But let me explain why, okay? Let's put this in context right now. Why he says boxing is not a real fight. It's something that he wrote on Twitter, I believe. Is it on Twitter? Okay, hold on. Okay, MMA Guru. Let's look for his tweet here that he wrote. I kind of hate to say it, but I agree. Yes. Hate Love, great movie. Thanks. I'm so glad you got it. Yeah, I do agree with MMA Guru on this, right? And we're going to go into reasons why we agree with this. Okay, so all right, so this is what he wrote that I found, very intriguing, right? Boxing isn't a real fight. It is and it isn't. And this is the reason why I wanted to get into this topic, because I agree, but then I also don't agree. But you'll see exactly what I mean by this, okay? So let's get to the... It depends on the situation. Yes, I also hate BJJ guys talk about their fights. Yes, BJJ is not a real fight. So I'll read to you what he says. You're obviously not going to see the whole entire thing because it's a vertical stream. But, okay, so this is what MMA Guru says. Boxing is so odd to watch because you start feeling the nerves. But then after a round, you start realizing something. No elbows, no head kicks, no arms or necks getting wrenched off, no slams, paddings, on your gloves. Really? By round 5, I was imagining ways I could beat both Crawford and Canelo in a fight. Isn't that weird? By the way, MMA Guru, if there's anybody that could beat you up in a fight, it's probably Terrence Crawford, right? Considering the fact that Terrence Crawford is a legitimate wrestler. Okay, a legitimate MMA, a legitimate American wrestler too on top of that. But, okay, let's carry on. So I could imagine both Crawford and Canelo in a fight. Isn't that weird? I feel like MMA has desensitized me because every boxing main event outside of the heavyweight looks like malnourished toddlers playing sparring with pillows on their hands. Okay, so outside of the heavyweights, I find myself saying, wow, what a scary guy. Whereas in the UFC, I'm terrified. I'm terrified of a fighter while 125 flyweight Pantoja is walking them down. Hate Love says, wow, MMA Guru really thinks he could win a fight. Well, look, you got to understand something, right? As MMA content creators, right, we have to keep our fans engaged. And then on top of that, you also got to understand that we have to make our fans believe in us, right? So if you look at the fan base of MMA Guru, a lot of his fan bases are delusional, basement-dwelling freaks, right? So as a result of that, when they see somebody like MMA Guru, they clang on to him and say, wow, you know what? This guy right here, he could do some damage to an MMA fighter, right? Which is further from the truth. The guy could barely throw kicks. The guy could barely do any type of, jiu-jitsu or any type of grappling to any kind. I mean, the guy is, utterly useless in that department. See, Guru knows Pantoja is a GOAT. So, Fresh, I tell you what, man, when I saw him talk about Pantoja in here, I started thinking to myself, man, what is the most common name that is being thrown around here when it comes to 125ers? And it is none other than Pantoja. So there you go. All right, so this is what I got to say towards that, right? Is boxing a real fight? And I'm going to mark this into the... All right, so the question is boxing a real fight? And the answer is yes, and also the answer is no. I'm going to tell you why. Look, what is the first thing you do when you fight? It is to punch, right? Even if you're setting up a kick, you're throwing a punch to set up the kick. Even if you're getting a takedown, shooting in on a takedown, you're using your punch to set up the takedown in some kind of way. So with that said, it is imperative to understand that boxing is somewhat of a fight, but a limited fight. It is a fight where two gentlemen agreed upon the fact that we're going to use our hands and we're not going to use anything else. And we're going to be very limited in the way that we clinch each other, because clinching is going to be part of fighting, but it's going to be broken up, or it's not going to be the focal point of the whole entire boxing match. So it's an incomplete fight. In comparison to, let's say, yes, and by the way, Sebastian Cardona says boxing has more deaths and CTE than MMA. That is very true. No sport is a real fight, but MMA gets the closest. Yes, that is correct. Football breaks the record, though, when it comes to CTE and maybe even fatal deaths that come with that afterwards as a consequence of that fact. So a lot of BJJ guys say that they're going into a fight, right? They go to a tournament. They say, well, I'm going to fight this weekend. And my Muay Thai coach back in the days used to think that this was ridiculous, right? A jiu-jitsu match is not a fight, right? A wrestling match is not a fight. Because if it was a fight, all the wrestlers that I know, including myself, could claim that we've had over 200 some odd fights, okay? And that is just normal numbers that I'm talking to you when it comes to wrestling, right? These are normal numbers, right? Guys that wrestle, 200 times in their whole entire career. This is normal. Truth Seeker says they love to call their BJJ matches fights, because the reason why they like to do that is because they know that they don't do anything else in a combat sports realm, right? Like you see guys like Luke Rockhold, you see guys like even Kamzat himself, right? He did a grappling match against, what was that guy's name? Oh shoot, I forgot his name. What was his name? The Dutch and Swedish guy. You guys know who I'm talking about, right? He was a 185 middleweight. Let me write on the comment section below if you know the 185er that I'm talking about. Hermanson, Jack Hermanson. Sorry, it was Jack Hermanson that he got into a grappling match with, right? So these guys, when they go into a grappling match, you're not saying that, hey, I'm going into a fight. But somebody like Craig Jones, he says that he's going into a fight. Somebody like Gary Tonin says he's going into a fight. But in reality, what you do is not a fight. What you do is a match. It is a match, but it is a match that is no punching, no kicking, and no dire consequences as a result of that, other than the consequences of chokes and getting put to sleep, or maybe getting your arm wrenched out, as what MMA Guru had mentioned here. So that's that particular topic at hand right there. Next topic that we're going to talk about right now is the UK heading into a civil war. Okay, and that is the next topic that we're going to talk about right now, is the UK heading into a civil war. Okay. Sebastian Cardona says, Ilya and JDM are great examples. They have good hands. JDM was an amateur boxer and Ilya did wrestling, boxing, and is so good and better. And it's been around for thousands of years, just like wrestling. It's real. Okay, I'm going to mark that comment right there, Sebastian. Shout out to you, my man. I'm going to mark that comment right there. Okay, so let's see here. Where is... it said... So I just, thanks, bro. Just want to engage. It was invented in Greece. Yes, yes, it was. Yes, it was. It was definitely invented in Greece. Okay, so let's see what Tommy Robinson had to say here.
How many do you think were there?
The estimates at 110,000. I would say there was at least 3 times that. I mean, what was leaving Waterloo was easily 110,000.
It's over 1 million. The big was importing 3 million. God bless this country.
The number of people there are grossly underestimated because you couldn't move through Whitehall, you couldn't move through Parliament Square and so on. Very inspiring. And
you find Tommy Robinson inspiring?
Yes.
What do you find inspiring about him?
There is only one man that could have made this happen today, and that man is Tommy Robinson.
This is the biggest demonstration in Britain's history. You are part of a tidal wave of patriotism that's sweeping across this country.
And I will announce that I will be running for Mayor of London in May 2028.
The government has failed in its duty to protect its citizens, which is a fundamental duty of government. And the people need to be in charge, not some bureaucracy that doesn't care. The essence of democracy is it should be.
Hey, shout out to you, Sebastian. So Sebastian says, so grappling and boxing is a form of fighting. It always has been. F15 says, not gonna lie. Chiat, I don't understand that. Charlie Kirk was a nice guy, I think. He says, Sebastian says, what really makes boxing amazing is that it's literally easy to learn, and all it takes is time to perfect your own form of boxing. Sebastian says, peace. I'm glad I said my stuff, bro. Thanks. You got another sub. Peace, y'all. Shout out to you, my man. Cole Reimer says, F15. He wasn't. I've met and spoken to him. He is only nice to those that agree to bow to him. Even then, he isn't much. Wow. Okay, so Cole Reimer, you actually have met Charlie Kirk. That's very interesting, man. But we got to ask you some questions on this end, man. You know, this is going to get really interesting here.
A government for the people, by the people.
All right, so that is from Tommy Robinson's page. Okay, for those of you that don't know who Tommy Robinson is, he is a UK leader in the EDL, or what used to be the EDL. He created an organization that was an anti-Islamic organization to what he believes is to combat Islamic terrorism. He grew up in the town outside of England called Luton, right? Now, if there's anybody from England and they know anything about Luton, it is literally a place where a lot of people have joined the Taliban, joined ISIS, all these types of groups, right? So now, Tommy Robinson, after years of being in the EDL, getting kicked out of the EDL, out of his own gang, then he starts sort of pushing civic nationalism, right? And this is where we are today. So he claims that there have been a lot of grooming gangs in the UK, saying that the numbers are usually from Pakistani Muslim men, when some argue that the majority of groomers in the UK are white, and that's probably predicated on the fact that they are a white majority country, some would argue. But F15 says, you met him the day he got shot? No. Coal Miner says, no, met him in Lincoln, Nebraska. Okay. Nepal's situation is more crazy, by the way. So that's interesting you said that, F15. Yes, because Nepal could be a blueprint for what everybody around the world may try to do, right? So what is this? Kash Patel is about to get cooked. What is Myron talking about here?
That's not what he asked.
Would you commit to providing my office with all classified?
Okay, so before I jump into the next subject, I'm going to just say this, right? Will the UK face a civil war? No. So obviously on the same day as Canelo and Crawford, they had a protest in the UK, right? There was like 3 million deep there, right? Tommy Robinson in the past, where he's had a lot of these riots and a lot of these situations going on where there was a group-on-group fighting, you know, what happened was he told his followers to not wear masks, to show yourselves, to not piss off the police in any kind of way. So there it is. Chris Moltisanti, as in The Sopranos. He asked me, are you Samoan? Well, I roll with Samoans. I'm half Arabic, and yeah, so shout out to you, man, The Sopranos. Chris Moltisanti. All right, man. So, okay, next subject, Kash Patel.
Regarding the initial FBI 1023 document that I made public last Congress, that document
what was that shark
mentioned
movie?
1, text messages, 2, audio recordings, and 3, financial records that allegedly proved a bribery scheme with the Biden family and foreign interests. Regarding those records, did the Reyes FBI make any effort to determine whether they existed? Did the Reyes FBI make any effort to obtain those records?
Not to my knowledge, Mr. Chairman.
Since this matter hasn't been fully investigated, the FBI has an obligation to the public to do exactly that and figure out why it wasn't investigated. Next question. I've done a lot of oversight relating to sexual misconduct by the FBI agents. In fact, I believe this is something
He asks, who stole your mustache? I don't know, man. I don't have a mustache for a good reason.
Committee. According to the womanizing, the FBI Inspection Division, it opened nearly 300 investigations based on sexual misconduct referrals between 2017 and 2024. According to whistleblowers of Biden Ray, FBI totally dropped.
Guys, the FBI has a lot of female agents, by the way.
The ball on this question. One credible accusation of sexual misconduct.
Armor G says, Islam Makhachev or Jack Della Maddalena? Islam Makhachev, of course, my man. You know, if I was to say anything else other than that, I don't think I would be invited back to the mosque. Okay, you know what I mean? I'm joking. Obviously, they probably don't care about who wins a UFC fight or not.
Crimes and sexual misconduct related investigations. Are any private sector companies less than cooperative with you? What improvements in information sharing need to be made to catch those criminals?
Mr. Chairman, we can always do better with our private sector companies. I've reached out to the leaders of most of them, asking them to provide more material so that we can be responsive and take legal action.
All right. Let's recap, Jack. Okay, let's recap, okay? Long story short, Kash Patel's under oath. Senate's asking him questions. There's been a lot of backlash, people calling for his resignation. So he's here testifying, answering questions. Basically what happened was it started off with members saying Kash Patel wasn't qualified, he's never been an agent, he lowered agent standards in the FBI Academy, made background checks less strict, he fumbled the Charlie Kirk murder, he wrote a book called Government Gangsters, how he talked about going after political opponents, blah, blah, blah. So he spent like 30 minutes just roasting him, right? He responded saying, look, we've been making crazy arrests, seizing 1 million guns, thwarting terrorism, and we've been transparent. I've released triple the amount of declassified documents that Chris Wray did in 7 months, while Chris Wray had 3 years. So that's basically the summary of what's going on here, guys. Once again, for you guys that are coming in,
Wilbert Howard, I don't know what that at D. Yeah. Okay, he's laughing at what he said.
Let's just do it. But that is the summary, guys, of what's going on right now.
And then protect the youth of this
Give me ones if that all makes sense.
country. I'm happy to discuss, possible legislation that we can do to allow for these companies to continue.
Say maybe 1 inch up on the microphone.
Sorry.
All right, so JD's World says boxing is not a complete martial art, but it isn't a complete joke either. Yes, that is it. He has a catfish mouth, Wilbert Howard says.
In June
Okay.
of this year, I raised concerns about the FBI's use of recent.
All right, so look, check this out, right? I honestly don't think Kash Patel is a qualified director of the FBI. In fact, I think he is literally the quintessential idea of a DEI hire, right? Which is crazy because he's a Donald Trump guy, and this is not something that they are into, but yeah. Lovebug says MVP versus Wayne C. Who wins? MVP, of course, man. MVP. Even if MVP was to show up in Street Beef, yeah. The opposite is the NGL. What does NGL mean again? Let me know what that means.
Oh, clearly this is not only affects FBI agents, it impacts congressional requests and court cases, and the Biden administration used it to thwart oversight. How are you ensuring that restricted access and prohibited access files are produced to
Not gonna lie, got it,
cases?
okay.
And have you identified any Biden family records in restricted and prohibited status?
As I've committed to you with my transparency initiative, whether it's restrictive or prohibited, every single thing we can legally provide to Congress, we will. We've also restructured how these restricted and prohibited cases are labeled and provided access to more people in the chain of command so that more people have knowledge of what these restricted and prohibited cases are.
In what way would you say is boxing a complete martial arts, Sebastian Cardona? I only asked that only because it doesn't have any kicking involved. It does have clinching involved, but to a limited capacity. But what do you mean by it being martial arts? Okay, guys, gots to go, bro. Just shout out to you, my man. But yeah, let me know sometime what you mean by that. Hate Love says, no, I don't think it is. You can only use your hands. That's what I'm saying, right? But I'm sure Sebastian may have an explanation to it. If he does, I'd like to hear it. But shout out to you anyways, man.
And other documents maintained outside of the
Bro, get this old nigga out of here, bro.
He says this is correct. Yes, MMA is a fight. Correct. Sebastian Cardona says, tell me the cons of it. Real quick, Guru, I gotta... Guru, I gotta tell you the cons of boxing in MMA, please. So the cons of boxing in MMA... the only cons in boxing in MMA is, for example, if your stance, right? I'm going to show you an example, right? In your stance, you lower your stance in boxing sometimes, right? And then the way that your legs are bent, so you can bend your legs while you're lowering your stance in boxing. Now, the problem with that is your knees and your legs get exposed. It's a lot easier to kick, and it's harder to check those kicks if you're standing in those boxer stands, those really low boxer stands. So those are the only cons that I could really say boxing has in in MMA. But other than that, yeah, it will help get my point across. Trust me. Okay.
Kept permanently at the FBI. 2, we are reviewing those materials. A lot of those materials are related to ongoing investigations. And 3, we are on a rolling basis providing...
Okay, I give you that, Sebastian. There are different types of stances in boxing. There's upright. There's obviously low stances. Boxing isn't just one style. Y'all get that wrong. That's true. That is very true, right? In the MMA-centric view of things, it seems as if boxing... only has one particular style, which is just to throw punches. But if you look at boxing extensively, there's Mexican style, there's American style slickness, African-American style slickness, there's the British style, there's the Soviet Union style. So I see what you mean. I think every martial arts is incomplete to an extent unless you mix them. Mars said, okay. Appreciate you. Cardona says, appreciate you, my man. Thank you for the sub. And everybody around the world, don't forget to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. Also, in the comment section below, let me know what part of the world you are from, my man. So, yes, I agree with you, Mars. Sebastian says, Seb, you don't give up. Okay, Hate Love says, Mars, you on point. You on point. Okay.
Leak sensitive information and have unauthorized disclosures to the...
Okay, so Sebastian says, boxing cons is a defense of kicks and takedowns. Correct, yes.
The executive team, the director's advisory team, or who serve in the positions on the 7th floor.
He says, it has everything else. Okay.
Senator, I'm not going to get into the personnel discussions that were had on a polygraph. Those are private discussions, and many of them relate to ongoing investigations.
Did you or Attorney General Bondi provide any individual with a waiver so they can remain employed?
Sebastian Cardona says, you have to learn how to catch a punch with your hands and block it with your elbows. Adriel the Gamer says, hi. Hey, how are you, my man? Let me know what part of the world you are from. Sebastian Cardona says, it's easier with bigger gloves, yes, but these moves are still used in MMA. Correct, correct, correct. To say that boxing is not used in MMA in any kind of way, I think is ignorant. You are absolutely right. There's a lot of guys that use boxing as a way to really enhance high-level MMA. Some of the names that you mentioned, JDM is a great example of that. Ilia Topuria is a great example of that. Conor McGregor is a great example of that. By the way, shout-outs to Terrence Crawford. He dissed Ilia Topuria in the name of defending Conor McGregor. And I think Conor McGregor's, whole entire ego has probably boosted from that. Yes, Terrence. Terrence, good man, Terrence, yeah? Good man, Terrence, yeah? Terrence, that's my boy, yeah. He's my boy.
Trump was a part of. So what they're trying to say here is he put all those agents on polygraphs.
He said, Nate Diaz. Oh, wait, hold on. What is this?
Which obviously is a gross misuse. You're supposed to do polygraphs for background clearance reasons.
The blowback she received.
Wow, so he made all the agents take polygraph. Okay. Sebastian Cardona says, when you establish a distance, what's the first thing you throw and establish space? When you establish a distance, what is the first thing you throw to establish space? A jab. A jab, right? Sebastian says, anyone? Peter Yan too. Yeah, is that the right answer, Sebastian? A jab and a kick. Okay, so mostly like a front kick, a teep kick. Sean Strickland is quite what do you call it? Is quite proficient in using that. But what I'm trying to say is that it leads. Okay, the answer is anything that leads first. Okay, anything that leads first. Usually a jab, right? Jabs are usually used as kind of a spear. Your front kick is a perfect jab. Okay. So in other words, are you saying that the concept of front kick is that of same concept as boxing, or is it influenced by boxing in terms of trying to establish space, right? Steep is an example. I think you mean teep kicks, perhaps. Steep or maybe steep means something else, but I think what you're trying to convey is, teep kicks, perhaps. Okay, let's hear what Myron has to say on this FBI thing right here. Yes, no problem. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yes.
Who's responsible for that?
The Attorney General leads the Department of Justice.
Director Patel, much like you, Deputy Director Bongino was a conspiracy theorist.
Oh, here we go.
Built a lucrative career making inflammatory and unsubstantiated statements about the FBI that would be disqualifying in any administration that cared about nonpartisan law enforcement. For instance, Mr. Bongino...
I told y'all, bro, they're working their way to come after him. They're going to try to argue Kash Patel is unfairly targeting all the FBI employees that worked on any Trump criminal investigation.
Recall the placement of pipe bombs outside the DNC.
So there you go, right? Obviously, Kash Patel is a shield for Donald Trump, right? Like, think about this, right? Bon Jovi and Bon Jovi, am I even saying his name right? Anyways, Bon Jovi and Patel were podcasters prior to this, right? Sure, he was a lawyer. Yes, that makes him an educated man, but does that make him a qualified director of the FBI?
Tell you and Deputy Director Bongino are now leading the
Bongino, sorry,
What is the
Bongino.
evidence to suggest the pipe bombs placed outside of the DNC and RNC on January 6th were an inside job?
I appreciate the opportunity to discuss Director Bongino as my record. So many on this committee and the media jettison our 31 years of public service.
Can you answer the question, sir?
I'm answering the question. You're questioning the integrity of the Deputy Director of the FBI and mine. And I'm going to answer the question. The pipe bomb
this is getting good.
Ongoing, and I'm not going to discuss the details of the pipe bomb investigation. Mr. Bongino was a Secret Service agent for 15 years, a police officer for 5. I served this country in multiple administrations for 16 years. We were also private citizens, and we are now back in government service.
Yeah, like, with all due respect, though, Secret Service doesn't do complex criminal investigations. And he's a former federal prosecutor. So none of them have really run a complex, long-term federal investigation, to be honest.
And what we have the ability to do is set aside our personal beliefs to deliver the mission of justice for this country, and we're doing it day in and day out. And I find it disgusting that everyone and anyone would jettison our 31 years of combined experience that is now at the helm of the FBI, delivering historic results at historic speeds for the American people.
So you have no evidence?
I got a lot of evidence, and I'll give it to you when I can.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
He did it again, guys. Oh, it's under investigation. Can't show it to you. Oh, it's classified. Can't show it to you. And the reason why he's grilling him on this is Kash Patel and Bongino always question the pipe bomb shit. So see how all these podcast interviews are coming back to haunt them?
New York Times story this morning about Chris Meyer. As I understand it, he was your personal pilot, at least for some period of time. Mr. Meyer has quite a record himself. Flew over 350 hours as an Air Force pilot on 3 aircraft types in Afghanistan. Mr. Jordina, another former FBI agent, a 1999 graduate of U.S. Naval Academy, commanded 100 Marines in combat during the 2003 invasion of Iraq, participated in several firefights, followed up with 2011 deployment as a reservist to Afghanistan, where he interrogated senior Taliban officials. It appears that you terminated these 2 agents. Why?
I'm not going to get into personnel decisions that we made.
So you're not accountable for your decisions to take people who served our country so admirably and terminate them without any...
Wow, so the committee right here is asking, the Senate committee is asking Kash Patel, why did you fire these guys that had a very extensive and, yeah, they have a very extensive record and a clean record at that. Also, service of clean records to the country, and then they just get released like that. Yeah, he says, well, I'm not going to answer that, and then they're pushing back on him.
That's a one-sided story. Anyone that has been terminated from the FBI generally speaking failed to meet the needs of the FBI and uphold their constitutional duties. And you providing a one-sided story from your perch is absolutely disgraceful, because the men and women of the FBI deserve better. And your attack on the current leadership of the men and women of the FBI is equally disgraceful, because now you're attacking the leaders that are our brave SACs in the field who are doing the job that this country needs. And we will continue to do it.
Excuse me, it's disgraceful when Mr. Meyer and Mr. Jordina, who served our country so well, are terminated apparently because...
Wow, so they're saying, you know what, they served the country really well, and you're letting them go like that. And then all Kash Patel says is, well, you know, they didn't really meet the standards of the FBI and its constitutional requirements, for whatever that means, right? And then this is good, man. This is what America is about, right? Push back on power, right? No one is above the law, and I'm kind of glad to see this.
Of the rants of a broadcaster.
That is your opinion. It is not a fact.
No, it's certainly bad. In my opinion, I can back up with fact. Let me ask you to explain the situation.
He didn't answer the pipe bomb question.
In Baltimore, if you will. Did you read the story about the termination of the project in Baltimore?
Which
764 group?
Sorry. Which story?
764 group. The Baltimore agents were arrested. investigating? Are you familiar with that?
No, sir.
Well, I'm not going to go into detail. It would take too long to do it. But apparently that this group, 764, a nihilistic, violent extremist group, seeks to blackmail children to perform vile acts on camera under investigation by Baltimore, which was terminated by you. I'd like you to respond in writing, if you will, as to the circumstances of that termination.
Sure. Our operations against NVEs, as you're referring to, has been historically high, and we've taken down multiple NVE rings, including 764 rings, who are harming children and causing them to be mutilated. And
last question: can you explain why you are eliminating the requirements for a college degree for your agents?
Oh, this is another thing that pissed them off. Because it used to be you had to have a 4-year degree to become an FBI agent. They waived it.
I appreciate the opportunity to address that.
Wow. So they waived off having a 4-year degree of being an FBI agent. That is insane, right? Now, that is insane. Like, you want to talk about... Look, this is one thing I can't stand about a lot of modern conservatives, right? In the 90s, I got to tell you, in the 90s, Republicanism looked a lot different, right? It looked like Carlton Banks. It looked like country clubs. Republicanism looked like Ronald Reagan, right? It looked like Ivy League preppy white boys. You know what I mean? That's what Republicanism looked like in the 90s. Now, the modern Republicanism is about anti-education. Oh, it's all communist. And don't get me wrong. Okay, I've been to college before, okay? I've graduated from college. I know exactly what type of rhetoric that a lot of these professors push, and I totally get it. But still, you need an education, and there's this prevailing idea and thought process that many people have in the modern Republican Party right now that basically emphasize, well, you don't need a college degree. You don't need a college degree. Yeah, you don't need a college degree if you're a tradesman. David asked, what did I study? I studied communication, public relations, media, public relations to be exact. So communication, media communication in the public relations sphere. So Joker's Wild says this Republican Party is hijacked by white nationalist ideology. To a certain extent, look, I think that's a little bit fragmented, Joker's Wild. I'm going to tell you why, okay? The reason why that's a little bit, the Republican Party is a little bit fragmented right now is because, number one, there's a white nationalist side that loves Donald Trump, but then there's a white nationalist side that hates Donald Trump because of his overwhelming support for Israel. David says, I feel like the pushing of certain values depends a lot on what you've studied. Econ, most of my professors are right-leaning. That kind of makes sense, right? Professors who are teaching economy and business, obviously they are going to be a little bit right-leaning. That being said, my country is more left-leaning in general. Dave, okay, when you say your country, are you from Canada or the United States, or yeah, let me know. Bruce Leroy says, stop it, Joker. Well, Bruce Leroy, by the way, shout out to you. I like that name. I'm from Spain. Man, shout out to Spain, man. Your English is very good, my man. Very good. And by the way, that kind of changes things, right? Because conservatism in Spain means something completely different in the United States, just like the political aspects of British politics. It's a little bit different than the politics in the United States when it comes to what is a conservative versus what is a conservative in the United States or in the UK. So, you know, Bruce Leroy says a failed system. Are you talking about the current system we have right now?
You said in your opening statement, we are reducing the training requirements at Quantico. We are not. We are expanding them. You're referring to an 1811 crossover program because I believe the men and women of places like the DEA, the ATF, and the Marshal Service and the Secret Service who want to work at the FBI should deserve that opportunity in a shortened bridge program, which we provided. We are also keeping the 18-week BFT.
Guys, at this point, bro, I'm about to head up my boy and apply to FBI, bro. Fuck it. This shit crazy, man. Guys, I gotta take 3 months off and help these niggas, bro. I'm dead ass. I need to go back, guys.
EC as the tradition.
you know damn well Myron ain't going back, bro. You know, Myron says that he wants to go back to the FBI. He was obviously a Homeland Security agent before. He ain't doing that. Listen, he's making way more money than he is as an FBI agent. He would rather just be an FBI agent on the side, right? But again, you have to work full time. And what I mean by working on the side, meaning that he claims that he has been in the FBI, but not actually doing current FBI work, but just doing it in a way where he's a podcaster and sort of as a commentator. I think that's what he's more into. Hate Love says, can I join the FBI? I promise I don't have an education. Well, guess what? If you don't have an education, then yeah, they're definitely going to take you now. But guess what, man? Listen, you join the FBI and you don't got a college education, guess what type of criminals you're going to be dealing with in the streets, okay? You're going to be dealing with gang leaders who are like myself, college educated, people who have military backgrounds. How are you going to take down somebody like that? Now, look, currently, I'm not involved in any crime or anything like that. Have I had experience with street gangs and people of the streets and people who are about that life? Yes. But what are you going to do as the director of the FBI when, or I'm sorry, not even as a director of FBI, just a regular agent, and you're investigating people like me, okay, who have a college education, who have ties to the streets, who have ties to people around the world, who have, you know, the same, if not more education than me? How are you going to take down these people? Right? Like, are you just going to assume that every criminal out there is like, you know, these, you know, hood rats from LA, like these Crips that they've been, you know, raiding around and this and that? That's easy work for you. What about real professional criminals? How are you going to deal with them? Let's see. Bruce Leroy says, and Marxist. Scheim says, boxing is an art, not fighting. Very true. Socialism, communism. David says, absolutely. Most of the right-leaning parties are more similar to the American liberals and conservatives. Yes, very true. Bruce Leroy says, and a Marxist. Ken says, and we need to improve our education system in the U.S. Yes, I'm going to mark that comment right there, Ken, because that is one thing we definitely need to work on here. Bruce Leroy says, the leftist liberals are pushing communist Marxism in universities in the U.S. Yes, for a very long time. Bruce Leroy says, it's funny that all the Marxist communist countries are all ran by dictators. Okay. Hate Love says, if I'm in the FBI, I'll just borrow some WMDs from Iraq. And then Ken says 100%. Yeah, Ken, because look, I don't like this idea. Look, I get it. I get that the right is trying to push, all right, go be a tradesman, go be a plumber, go be an electrician, and this, that, and the other. All these other trade jobs, right? These are all noble jobs, but we need people who are educated in multiple fields, right? The study of economics, for example, a big one, right? Medicine, right? We need to improve our medicine. Now, RFK is obviously on that, but with, you know, controversial means and, you know, this, that, and the other. And we need both, right? Yes, Ken says we need both. Yes, we need all of that, right? That's what America needs, because I tell you what, man, from somebody, look, here's a little background about myself for those of you that don't know me, right? I grew up in New Jersey. I grew up very preppy in New Jersey, right? I'm not going to make no bones about it. But when I came to the West Coast, straight up, I got turned out by the streets. Absolutely. And I'm going to admit to that, right? So I lived basically, you know, two different lives, right? A Jersey boy, preppy Jersey boy. And then I came out here. Next thing you know, I'm hanging out with Crips in, you know, from Stockton. That's just the reality of the situation, right? And I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not going to hide that, and I'm not going to sugarcoat that or be politically correct about it in any kind of way. That is my life. I've been in both sides of the fence. So yes, with that in mind, growing up in New Jersey, okay, I see a lot of people that are Republicans who emphasize a lot of education, right? Go to school, make something of yourself, start a business. Yes, this is something they emphasize, but the idea that we don't need college, and even though I get it, it is very expensive, and then the interest rates that they sort of throw in the loans is a big problem in and of itself. But yeah, Juice Man 562 from Long Beach. Shout out to everybody in Long Beach right there. Shout out to JuiceMan562 right there. Throw the C's up for everybody in C-Town, LBC. David says we need both. However, a lot of people underestimate the knowledge acquired by going to universities. Yes, very true. Hate Love says, David, so true. Hey, Juicer, what's up? Juice Man says, yes, sir, man. Shout outs to the LBC right there. One of my favorite cities in California, other than Stockton and LA, of course.
So being held at the FBI. So we're not reducing any requirements. We are increasing those that we bring into the FBI.
Did you change any of the requirements on college degrees?
We are allowing police officers who have served for a number of years to come into the FBI who did not obtain the requisite college.
Ah, okay. So that right there is a little loophole that Kash Patel is working on right there. He says that it is not so much that we're allowing non-college graduates, but what we're doing is taking police officers who never had a college degree and bringing them into the FBI based on their education from being a police officer. Ken says, I have more years in the university than I care to admit. 4-year college degrees. I support education, but not BS classes that are there to indoctrinate. Yes, very true. Bruce Leroy says trade schools are effective. Yes, that is true. But what about the people that don't want to work blue-collar jobs, that would rather work white-collar jobs? I mean, look, in all honesty, I'm sort of like that, right? I've always been into, doing office jobs. Not that I was ever opposed to doing, manual labor jobs or anything like that. But, I mean, I'd rather be in an office, right? That's just what I like to do. So, go to college then, Bruce Leroy. I did. So, Hate Love says, look at the police in the U.S. right now who don't really have an education. If you did that in the FBI, it's going to be game over. Think about it. Yes, there's going to be a lot of ignorance, a lot of prevailing ignorance that's going to be in that institution for sure. Ken says, trade, business, STEMs are all great. Yes. But college is not for everybody. You're right. And that is why, look, trade schools are always going to be there, right? People are always going to want to go into that field. But I think we need to encourage scholarship, right? And when I mean scholarship, I don't mean like the physical money of scholarship. Well, that too. I think that is important too. And I think they made schools too expensive in the United States. And I don't think that's good for the long run. High school should be a requirement for the FBI. Well, yeah, I would say that it is, right? I would be surprised if it's not. Yeah, I think high school education is required for most jobs, right? I would say about maybe 90% of jobs, right? The other 10% mostly in labor.
Degree to apply to be federal agents because we feel they have the street level experience we need.
I'll be honest with you guys, a lot of agencies don't care about you having a bachelor's degree. It's kind of a waste of time, but the FBI has always had that standard. So when he took it away, it obviously caused a lot of commotion.
To conduct this mission.
Are you, Mr. Chairman?
I have to respond to this business about you not treating employees properly because...
Uh-oh, here we go. They are about to question Kash Patel on not treating employees properly. Let's hear what this is about. Ken says they made universities expensive to give out more loans. Yes, that is the unfortunate reality of it.
I served under the previous administration when
all those folks out there making this happen, thank them for me. As to how to be an FBI agent, you've made a decision that local law enforcement folks, people who've served in law enforcement without a college degree.
Hey, this senator right here, Graham, this guy is gay. He's secretly gay, but he won't admit it. This guy right here. So if you see this guy anywhere, trust me when I tell you this guy is gay, but won't admit it. Shout out to Senator Graham.
Yeah, is that correct?
He says, I'd rather have people with street smarts and common sense in law enforcement, Bruce Leroy says. Well, there you go. I think Kash Patel may agree with you on that, and it is the reason why he's brought in former police officers into the FBI as a result of that. That is a different education in of itself, right? If you've been a patrolman in the police force for 4 years, I think that is education that you can't learn in the universities, right? That is hands-on education to the fullest. Gino, he says, yo, what's up? He's locked this closet. Keegan says, Kyrie got the Joe Rogan gator. I don't know about all that. I just read off of what I know and from Reddit and what people are saying. So I don't think I have a gaydar in any kind of way. In fact, I've had gay dudes hit on me before and I didn't even know it. I was like, wait, you know, I thought you, I don't know. But yeah, you know how it goes, right? You know, there's those types of people out there that will try to flirt with you and you don't even know it, especially if you don't have a gaydar, as they say.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Makes sense to me. So, experience.
He's Cash's buddy, so
He's out in the field, might be.
All right, well, there you go. He's shilling out for, he says, makes sense to me. And it does make sense, right? Not everybody in FBI, I guess, has to have a 4-year degree, unless if it is a special situation like being a police officer. But now, it's like they don't want anybody to have a degree. So is Kash Patel gay? Keegan says, I don't think he is. He doesn't strike me as gay in any kind of way. They need to educate educate law enforcement with the Constitution. Okay, Patel is so gay, hate love. When you mean G-A-Y, hate love, do you mean G-A-Y in a way that, well, you know, being like as a figure of speech, or literally?
As valuable as a college degree, believe it or not.
So he says it's as valuable as a college degree.
Water in the Caribbean, because they're connected to international narco-terrorist groups.
He says, I think he'll gobble that thing for a bag.
Groups, is that correct?
Yes, that mission is being led by the Department of Defense, sir.
Okay. What legal authority do we have to do that?
Sir, I would defer the questions on legal authority to the Attorney General and the Department.
Fair enough. Do you believe that Maduro runs a narco-terrorism state in Venezuela based on?
I believe based on the intelligence and prosecutions and investigations we are currently running, a large portion of the cocaine that exits out of South America, its origination point is Venezuela, and using
Okay, so you mean a figure of speech, right? Like, that kind of makes sense. Look, I don't know, man. Look, I know Indians, there's a liberal side to a lot of Indians, right? Obviously, they were the people that created the Kama Sutra, which, by the way, a lot of weird white liberals are really into. Like, a lot of weird white liberals are into yoga as well. But there is a conservative side to Indian families that I notice, right? And, well, I'll tell you what, I've served with a couple of Indian American Marines, right? And when I look at their family, a lot of them are very much conservative. Even some Indian Americans who I know that are in law enforcement, right? You know, they all come from very conservative families. In fact, I don't know what it is, man. Most Marines and law enforcement Indian Americans I've seen all look like Kash Patel for some weird reason, right? It's like as if they made this template group of Indians and say, hey, you know what? These are the group of guys that are going to go into law enforcement in the United States, you know? But shout out to the Indians anyway, man. The Indians are doing very well for themselves in the Western world, right? I think they, along with Asian Americans, when I mean Asian Americans, I mean Pacific Islander Asian Americans, right? Aside from them, I think the Indians are also really kicking butt in the Western world, right? In the UK, many of them are prime ministers. Many of them have become prime ministers, MPs. A lot of them own a lot of businesses here in the United States. You had a former vice president who was half Indian, which is Kamala Harris. Kash Patel as the FBI director. So a lot of Indians do very well for themselves, and you know, we have to give them that credit, right? Obviously here they own a lot of stores, a lot of 7-Eleven, a lot of different other businesses other than 7-Eleven, of course, you know, not to just, you know, put this in, you know, in any type of stereotypical kind of way. Tim, the Enchanter says, hello, would you like a good morning roast? Would I like a good morning roast? Well, I'm sort of having something like that right now. So, you know, shout out to you, my man. Shout out to Tim. Welcome.
And shipment points through Haiti. They're using the navigable waterways in the Caribbean to the end state delivery, which is the United States of America. And we will hunt down every single one of those narco traffickers and with the authorities.
There's some actual indictments of Maduro's individual.
Yeah, it's actually HSI Miami that indicted some of Maduro's people, guys. Fun fact for y'all.
Keegan says Layla Ann Lee versus Ghislaine Maxwell. Layla Ann Lee, I'm not sure who that is. So who is next for the nerds? Who's going to lose? So who hasn't lost? I mean, they've all lost already, right? It's just all either downhill or uphill from here for the fighting nerds, right? It is up to them to decide whether they're going to go up or down from here or have something in between. I think a lot of these guys are going to be gatekeepers. Maybe one or two of them will reach title contention, but not exactly win the title. And I think that's just the ceiling that all of them are going to have. I think there's holes in their games, and I think the only way to fix that is if they bring somebody in different. So, Hate Love says, no, Kyrie, I don't think he means roast like food. Oh, okay. Then if he means roasting me, then no. We're not going to do that here. You know what I mean? I'm not MMA Guru where I'm going to sit here and allow self-deprecation on myself. I have way more self-respect than that. And on top of that, I come from an honor culture. And, you know, that's not going to be tolerated here.
Well, Maduro is...
Gino says, but they do deserve a rematch or different opponents, because they are only in a featherweight and middleweight, and that's two dangerous divisions. Maybe, or if they decide to convert to other weight classes, perhaps, right? There's also an aspect of perhaps maybe they are, how do I say this? Maybe they switch teams, right? I could see that happening as well with the fighting nerds. But guys, stay tuned, by the way. We're going to go over this weekend's fights as well after this, okay? Ulberg versus Dominic Reyes. So that's going to be a good one.
Is under indictment right now.
Would it be fair to say that Venezuela is a good candidate to be labeled as a state sponsor of terrorism under U.S. law?
Senator, from my perch, we will provide the intelligence necessary for anyone who meets the threshold to be a state sponsor of terrorism.
Well,
this administration
I think they are, so we'll be going down that road. China, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being nothing, 10 being great, how is China?
Joker Wild says, is this a boxing channel? Mostly an MMA channel, but I do cover boxing as well, and I also do cover geopolitics and other aspects of current event news. So,
helping with the fentanyl problem here in the United States.
Under this administration, we have taken, as I highlighted the Cincinnati case, the precursors are the problem. The fentanyl is the end state that kills American citizens.
Shout out to you on that comment, Hate Love. It's an MMA channel and general topics. Also, look at the title and you'll see what I mean. Yes, I'm going to mark that comment right there. Very important to mark that comment to sort of give a synopsis on what my channel is mainly about.
The precursors are made in China, right?
They're made in China. And so for the first time in a decade, I had a call with my counterpart in the MPS.
He's giving softball questions on purpose.
The precursor chemical companies and have those labels, have those chemicals labeled.
Too early to rate the success.
We have indicted multiple businesses in China. We've also cut off the transshipment points of those precursors.
Joker's Wild says, I love boxing and politics and current affairs in general. Well, you've come to the right place, my man. You definitely came to the right place for this one.
Switched. Once we got on their track about their delivery routes to the Mexican drug cartels directly, they started going to India. We called the Indian authorities and they shut down those transshipment points. So we're continuing to work with our partners.
So China is helping, would you say?
They are starting to help, and we are hoping under this administration's leadership we can get more.
Let me know, in the coming months if that continues, because of.
All right, I'll keep it real with you guys. As someone.
Joker's Wild says, not big on MMA, though. Okay, let me know what part of the world you are from. I'm assuming you're probably from England, I'm assuming, right? Because I know boxing is very big in England, but let me know what part of the world you are from, Joker's Wild. By the way, welcome to our channel, by the way. All salutes to Joker Wild on that one. Hate Love says, fair enough, Joker. This is a good, chill channel. Oh, I'm in Southern California. Oh, wow, you're a California guy. All right, man. Shout out to you, bro. Shout out to you. Yeah. Southern California. Obviously, I'm in Northern California, so you know, if you're ever up here in Sacramento, or if I'm ever down in LA, you know, send me a shout outs. You know, I would love to meet my supporters. You know what I mean? I've met a few of my supporters in person before, but mostly in Sacramento. But you know, once I go and start traveling again, for sure, that'll be some epic times ahead. So.
Well, that's worked with China before. China does not. They're fucking useless, guys. I ain't gonna lie. If you got a case that's based out of China, you're cooked. The Chinese government is so unhelpful, bro. I had a case on organized Chinese human smuggling, and anytime I would contact the Beijing office, bro, it's like my liaison over there couldn't do shit.
In America and.
That's interesting that Myron brought that up, right? He said when he was a Homeland Security agent, he says that every time he did anything with China, that he couldn't get anything through. And I think that's on purpose. Obviously, the Chinese are competitors of the United States, so they're going to move in a certain way where they don't want to give too much information. And also, think of it like this. Maybe the Chinese government is in on these human smuggling operations. Hate Love says, North-South rap battle, Joker's Wild versus Kyrie MMA. I'm not much of a rapper. I don't know if Joker's Wild is, but yeah, you know, I'm not much of a rapper. I did freestyle back in the days when I was a kid, but you know, I'm not a rapper professionally. I know rappers though. I have a lot of homies that are, you know, they're rappers. Some of them are famous. Some of them, you know them. Some of them are in the underground. Some of them are just coming up. But you know, I know I got a lot of friends that are rappers for sure.
Inciting.
One of the worst countries to have an attaché office, bro. Literally.
Yeah, and the data shows that social media.
Yo, like the goddamn video, niggas. Bro, I'm up here, haven't slept yet and shit. I'm giving y'all the sauce on how these investigations really work.
Doesn't allow you to go online and groom a child for sexual.
No, it does not.
Okay, free speech doesn't allow you to go on the internet and basically incite somebody to kill another person, right?
Absolutely not.
So if it's illegal offline, it should be illegal online. Agreed? Whatever the law is.
Yes, sir.
Just because you're online doesn't give you a get out of jail free card.
No, sir.
So if a parent is worried about a child being bullied on a website, what rights do they have under U.S. law?
We have to balance the rights, as you said, Senator, of free speech versus those that encroach.
Is there any law that can shut down one of these sites for bullying children or allowing sexual predators on the site?
We are able to attack certain sites on the dark web. When it comes to the open internet infrastructure system, we have to reach a threshold to attack a company's position that only subscribes to violence.
Can the parents sue that company?
They can.
They can?
They can sue, not the social media companies.
That's what I'm talking about.
They can sue the companies.
No, I'm talking about the social media company that gives lives to this behavior.
No, you're referring to Section 230, sir.
Would you advocate a sunsetting of Section 230 to bring more liability to the companies who send this stuff out?
I've advocated for that for years.
All right. We need to do this, folks. These companies are taking content that makes you sick, that could get you killed, get you poisoned, and there's nothing we can do about it under our law. A person can do about it because of Section 230. So if your child is being sexually groomed online or bullied online, and you go to the social media company and ask them to take it down, they refuse, you have like zero rights. How many images of sexually exploited children are purveyed every year on social media sites?
The number is astronomical, and Senator, if I can just add one.
Hate Love says, in a sense, too many keyboard warriors and vicious bullying and cycle of abuse. Social media enables it, in my opinion. No, it definitely does, right? Look, I always say that social media is a tool, right? It is a tool for good, but it is also a tool for evil, right? Just like a knife, it is used for something good. It's used to cut up a steak, but it's also used to cut somebody up in the same equal sense. Gino says, how many fights are we expecting on the White House card? I'm sure the prelims are going to be wild. Same standard card, same standard time. Obviously, they're going to start the prelims at 3 p.m. in the West Coast, 6 p.m. in the East, and then they progress it to 7 p.m. in the main card. Same thing. It's going to be the same thing. Speaking of cards, let's get to this, right, before we lose any track of this. If you want to see the rest of this, go check out Myron Gaines's recent or current live stream that he's doing right now. Very interesting stuff that is going on right now. We're going to get to the fights this weekend right now. MF Doom versus Tekashi 6ix9ine. Is that a thing? Is Tekashi 6ix9ine going to fight, or are you talking about a fantasy fight that you would like to see? Let me know, because I know that Tekashi 6ix9ine did an interview with DJ Vlad recently. So yeah, we'll see what that is. MF Doom, obviously. Yeah, I don't know who MF Doom is. I'm gonna have to see who that is. All right, so okay, let's see here. Okay, so this is the fight card that we have going on this weekend, right? Let's start from the very top. Obviously, we have Dominic Reyes, okay, taking on Carlos-Ulberg. I tell you what, man, Dominic Reyes, I like the fact that he came back after that John Jones loss. He then went on a losing streak, right? But then came back. Carlos-Ulberg had that one loss, and then all of a sudden now he's a top light heavyweight contender, right? Could be the next champion out of his camp, right? Obviously they had Volkanovski, they had Izzy, so very interesting matchup, right? But I could see a world where Dominic Reyes wins this one. Island Boys versus Red and Meth. I don't know about all that, man. All right, let's see here. Let me put this in the... Okay, so Junior Tafa versus Ibo Islam. I like this matchup right here, right? Two bangers. These guys will swing wild for the fences. So I'm going to give this one to Ibu Aslan, though, right? I think Junior Tafa makes a lot of mistakes. Carlos-Ulberg versus Dominic Reyes. As much as I love Dominic Reyes and I want to see him do good, and by the way, he can do good in this one. This is very even fight. Look at how even this is. Both 34, 35, 6'3", 205, 77-inch reach. So, man, I don't know. I may have to give this one to Dominic Reyes. I'm going to give that one to Dominic Reyes. Charleston White already beat an Island Boy in a boxing match. It was so funny. Yeah, you know what's funny about that Hate Love was that, man, nobody really talked about that fight, right? Like, it should have been a bigger fight. I mean, you're talking about the Island Boys and then Charleston White. That fight should have been a whole lot bigger than that. I don't know why. I guess it was obviously promoted by Aiden Ross, but nothing much came out of it. Jack Jenkins versus Ramon Tavares. I'm going with Jack Jenkins in that one. Obviously, he's got the hometown advantage. Jimmy Crute versus Ivan Erslan. I'm going to go with Jimmy Crute on that one. Jake Matthews versus Neil Magny. I'm going to go with Jake Matthews on that one. He's been looking real good lately. And then in the prelims, we got Justin Tafa, another Tafa brother in here. I'm going to go with him on that one. I think he's going to knock this dude out right here. Yes, it went so under the radar. It was kind of weird, Hate Love says. And that is in reference to the Charleston White and the Island Boy fight. So Navajo Sterling, how about this, right? Coming back against Rodolfo Bellagio. I'm going to go with Navajo Sterling on that one. Loma versus Alexia. I'm going to go with Loma on that one. Real good Muay Thai. One of the first Thai fighters to transition into UFC. A lot of Muay Thai fighters don't necessarily transition well into MMA, and primarily because of the type of stance that they have in Muay Thai that doesn't translate well with, let's say, receiving kicks. So that's a factor right there. Jonathan Metcalf taking on Ubon Elliott. I'm going with Ubon Elliott on this one. Ubon Elliott has been on a hot streak. The Welsh gangster. Shout out to him. Colby Thickness taking on Joyasa Musaya. So, oh man, a very good fight right here. 135 fight. I might have to, I don't know, man. I might have to go with Josoyas on that one. Jamie Malarkey taking on Ronaldo Bedoya. I'm going to go with Jamie Malarkey on that one. Hometown advantage. Michelle Montague taking on Luna Carolina. I'm going to go with the undefeated fighter. Brandon Perrick taking on Alicia Ellison. I'm going to go with Brando. Cam Rosen versus Andre Petroski. I'm going to go with Andre Petroski. Choho. Okay, that one's canceled. So these fights are canceled. So, all right. So there it is, man. That is the fight card for that one. So let me mark this one on the. Let me mark this one on the timestamp right here. So. All right. Okay, so Kyrie, most your picks were same as mine. Yes. Standard picks, right? You know, a lot of these fights are set up for other people to win, right? I mean, they could set them up with higher competition, but they don't because they haven't been up there yet, right? Kind of like when Kamzat was fighting Reese McKee. Obviously, they couldn't find any tougher opponents than that, but that was the toughest opponent that they could find at the time because he was a Cage Warriors champion, and Kamzat was coming in there from another organization with a lot of hype. So, yeah. Okay, let's go back to Myron on this one.
Step to that analysis. It's not just what's on social media that is quote-unquote real. It's the introduction of artificial intelligence, generative AI that is creating even more child sexually abuse material and even more sexually violent acts online and mimicking people.
Would you say that the way social media is structured today, really no accountability, 36 million images in 2023 of sexually exploited children, that this is a public health hazard?
It is.
Would you say that it's a mental health problem, particularly for...
Guys, as you can tell, Graham is a friend of Cash. That's why he's giving him these softball questions. But there were some other guys on the committee that don't like Cash.
To be addictive, unfortunately, the reality is some of these sites are designed to generate income. And many people are generating income based on this illegal trade.
Do you think it's now time for America to deal with this problem?
I'm all in. I have been all in, and I'm happy to work with Congress to do so.
Well, I'll tell you what, having the FBI director all in is great news for me, and I hope the committee will respond and that we'll be all in, trying to fix a problem that I think is doing a lot of damage to our country. When it comes to John Bolton, was there new evidence involved in the raid on his home?
Sir, that investigation is very much ongoing. As you know, there was a raid of his house pursuant to a legal
Was there
search
a warrant obtained to go in?
Absolutely, sir.
Okay. All right.
We're looking to have that search warrant unsealed.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be good, quite frankly.
Bro, unseal that shit now, man. Y'all can unseal it right now.
December 2023, Director Ray said he sees blinking lights everywhere regarding to foreign terrorist threats against our homeland. How would you characterize the state of threats to our homeland by foreign terrorist groups?
Foreign terrorist organizations have adapted and started utilizing online platforms, and so is the FBI. And so while they are adapting and expanding how they harm our country, we have as well. They have not stopped. There's been a resurgence in places like West Africa and elsewhere of foreign terrorist organizations, and also the newly emboldened drug trafficking organizations in Mexico, which is going to take a whole of government approach to get...
Does Hezbollah fall within that group?
Yes, sir.
So Hezbollah is involved in not only terrorism, but narco...
Bro, Hezbollah's been designated as a terrorist organization since 1997. Since October 1997. I think it was October 7th. Let me double check.
Pro-terrorism?
Yes, sir.
So do you consider Hezbollah a threat to the United States?
Absolutely.
All right, finally, do you have enough people to do all this? Do you need more
Let's
people?
go!
You're involved in a lot of things, and the numbers speak for themselves.
There you go. October 8th, 1997. You guys want to know who designated them? And Hamas, same day. Let's have some fun, chat.
All right, let's cut some of the music there. I know that's probably AI music he's got playing right now, but all right. Let's get to, you know, a whole nother subject. Well, not a whole nother subject, but yeah. Let's check out this Charlie Kirk thing they have going on right now. Let's see here.
If you had to choose between flipping a house or
45-second.
Do they? Yes, the language is read right to left.
Yeah, same with the shoulder pads.
Charlie always believed that God's design for marriage and the family was absolutely amazing, and it is. And it was the greatest joy of his life. My husband laid down his life for me, for our nation, for our children. He showed the ultimate and true covenantal love. I will never, ever have the words to describe the loss that I feel in my heart.
Can you imagine, like, one day your spouse that you love more than anything in a very evangelical, very Christian-based marriage, and then he's just gone, or she is just gone. Just gone. Not from a medical emergency, not from anything that they could have controlled, just from out doing his job. And, you know, we talk about not being college educated, but so well read, so smart.
Well, there you go. That's not a fact right there. He was actually college educated, but he never finished college in terms of talking about Charlie Kirk. So the question is it right for people to get fired over the Charlie Kirk comment? There have been a lot of people that have been getting fired over the Charlie Kirk comment, right? And we got to question this, right? Is it freedom of speech to make fun of Charlie Kirk for getting unalived? The answer is yes, it is freedom of speech. You may not like it, but it is freedom of speech. As long as it's not inciting any violence, as long as it's not hurting anybody, it is freedom of speech by the end of the day. But also, you got to understand that it is up to the company to decide whether they want to keep you or not, right? It is not up to you. It is up to the company to decide, hey, you know what? I think this person is deemed unfit to be in our company because we think he's insane for making fun of a dead person, so therefore we're going to get rid of him. That is the company's right. But you have to understand it is also the right of a private citizen to say whatever it is that they want, whether you like it or not. And I think a lot of right-wing Republicans right now are very much angry of the fact that many people are bashing Kirk for his untimely demise. But I need you guys to understand, this right here is allowed. It is part of freedom of speech, and you don't have to like it, but the reality is the reality, and that's just what it is. Let's take a look at this nurse who was suspended after Charlie Kirk comments, right? It was a nurse that confronted a doctor that she was working with, and she got fired as a result of that. Let's take a look at this right here.
Several healthcare workers at a California medical clinic have been fired after posting a video online mocking their patients. In the now deleted video, numerous employees at the Prestigious Urgent Care in Santa Barbara were seen posing next to what looked like bodily fluid stains on the exam room table. The video featured captions including, "Are patients allowed to leave you guys gifts?" and "Guess the substance." Since the video was first posted, the account has been locked and replaced with a new username with all videos deleted. Sutter Health released a statement confirming the termination of the employees involved for the insensitive photo shoot, saying the unacceptable behavior is an outright violation of our policies, shows a lack of respect of our patients, and will not be tolerated. Within 24 hours of becoming aware of the post, we placed the employees on administrative leave. Within another 24 hours, we terminated those involved as part of this ongoing investigation. Several healthcare workers at a California medical clinic have...
Okay, so why I'm showing you that first is because I need you guys to understand that this is a good reason to fire somebody. I'm not talking about the Kirk situation, right? I'm talking about just the situation of this particular story that happened 8 to 10 days ago, where nurses were mocking their patients. Now, this right here is legitimate grounds of being fired. But when you're making fun of somebody who died, I don't know if that's the case, and I can see why they went after this nurse. Well, let me show you right here, okay? This is exactly what I'm talking about right here. So now we go from California.
Your side project.
We go from California to New Jersey, because this is where the story took place.
After calling a New Jersey nurse filing a lawsuit after she was suspended from her job after calling out a doctor who allegedly said Charlie Kirk deserved to die. The hospital saying, quote, both the doctor and the nurse were placed on suspension to allow time for a thorough and fair investigation following our standard protocol. And in the interest of everyone's safety, including their own, contrary to certain media reports, the nurse was not fired. That nurse, Lexi Kuntzel, along with her attorney, John Paul Deal, joins us now. Lexi, thanks so much. I'll get you in a second, John. But Lexi, are you fired?
No, I'm not fired as of right now. Right now, I am suspended, indefinitely unpaid.
Why?
So I walked into the nurse's station, and I just had learned about Charlie Kirk. I saw this guy. I didn't know who he was at the time, and he was standing there celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, saying how he deserved it, he hated Charlie Kirk, and he had it coming to him. And
so you love Charlie Kirk. You didn't just aware of him.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Charlie Kirk. My first retweet in 2008.
So, okay, she's a fan of Charlie Kirk. We can see why she was absolutely triggered by all of this, right? So there's an inherent bias over there. Here's something you got to understand. The doctor had every right to say that. Do I like it? Do I agree with it? That's besides the point. The fact of the matter is he's allowed to say that. It is freedom of speech, so long as he is not hurting anyone or inciting anyone to go after him. Now, the hospital, it's a private company, because we know healthcare in America is privatized. So as a result, they can have their own free will of discretion towards how they want to deal with their employees.
It was like my first blue checkmark retweet was Charlie Kirk. I was a couple years out of college and loved him ever since.
You're aghast at this, and what'd you say?
So I looked down at his badge because I didn't know, what job, if he was a doctor, a nurse, a tech, never saw him before. I looked down, I see his badge, and it says doctor, and I said, you're a doctor? I said, how are you saying this as a doctor, that someone deserved to die? I mean, to me, I was just mind blown. And yeah.
Okay, so an interesting question in the chat, right? Hate Love says, Kyrie, is it okay to say it if the doctor was on duty? Now, that is why they are having this investigation right now. I'm talking about the hospital, right? That is why they put this nurse on leave. That is why that doctor was also suspended. I believe hospital suspends doctor accused. Yes, so they were both suspended, right? They want to try to figure out what is going on here, right? Because they don't want any lawsuits in their hands. They don't want any First Amendment lawsuits to fester into this whole entire situation, which is why this is very complicated. Now, in my opinion, is he allowed to say it during duty? My answer is no. But if he said it in his private time, it would not be a controversy. It wouldn't even have any suspensions going on with this particular matter at hand, right? That's the reality of this situation.
You'll go to your manager was understanding but told you to go home. Yeah. Then you posted something online, and then you find out you're suspended. I want to bring in your lawyer now. And John, could you tell me how we find out her true status, and how do we make sure she gets her job back?
Yeah, so look, there are laws under various states, including New Jersey, where people like Lexi, nurses, healthcare professionals, can push back against conduct that implicates patient safety and welfare. And so Lexi's filed a lawsuit, and I'll be happy to be representing her in that.
Now look, they're talking about the fact that, do you really want a doctor who espouses glee and happiness in someone's death, right? So Hate Love says, yeah, exactly, that's what I was thinking, thank you. Yes, so that is what this nurse is complaining about. Does she really want to work with a doctor that has the propensity to laugh at people's death and misery, right? Which is, by the way, completely opposite of what it means to be a healthcare professional.
Lawsuit essentially saying, look, this doctor took a Hippocratic oath, he's under ethical standards to do no harm, and instead what he said is, I hate Charlie Kirk, he had it coming, and he deserved it. Now that calls into question patient care and patient safety. If somebody else, let's say Charlie Kirk himself, let's say somebody with his views, somebody who was a supporter came in to that surgeon's emergency room or operating room, would that doctor say, well, I'm not going to treat him, he deserved it?
Right, that's the implication. So you posted online on Instagram, this doctor is a disgrace. He had the audacity to say, I'm glad he deserved it, in front of a patient nursing station in regards to Charlie Kirk being murdered today. You are on the wrong side with the world. And you want to make sure, number one, do you want your job back?
Yeah, I mean, I've been waiting to hear from them. I'm ready to come back to work if they want me to come back to work.
And if they let you go, you're suing?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Lexi, thanks so much for telling your story. We're going to stay on top of it, and
Thank
hopefully
you.
you get to go back and this doctor understands what he said was wrong. I appreciate it. I'm Steve.
All right, so here's a couple of things you guys have to understand, right? There is no right or wrong in this particular story, and I need to emphasize that. The only thing that is right or wrong is whether she will get her job back or whether this doctor, well, if anybody feels safe being around this doctor. Look, you want my honest opinion? Would I feel threatened by having this doctor take care of me knowing that he has these types of views? My answer would be no, right? I feel like he would treat me in a different way. Also, there's complicated variations of this, right? Yes, they may feel this way, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to be good at their job or they're not going to be proficient at their job. I think he will be proficient at his job, but that is just my own opinion. And by the way, it's not like I really have any strong stance on Charlie Kirk one way or another. So I need you guys to understand that there is no right or wrong way when it comes to this, and that is really the reality of it. The only thing that is right or wrong in this is what the law says and what can be done as a result of that. Hate Love says, it's not ethical or morally okay in your own time to do as you please at work, especially in a hospital with vulnerable people. Okay, fair enough. The Dead Boy says, you poor baby, stop the cap. The only give a shit because he is Trump's butt buddy. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. TKO from the UK, shout out to you, my man. Hypocrites, where's the same people for those fired because of Palestinian support, etc.? Who speaks for them? Long story short, absolute zero speaking for them. What a load of BS, in my opinion. Yeah, man, shout out to you on that, man. So, yeah, man, yeah, that's the reality of this situation, guys. That is the reality of this situation. So, yeah.
Such a great debater, such a great person to get people to try to think about having an open mind on the opposite or an opposing opinion that you have, that he built a multi-million-dollar corporation around it into infiltrating.
Hate Love says, Kyrie, but if you know he is a racist in general, then for me, I would not be comfortable with that doctor. I see what you're saying. In general, you would not feel comfortable with a doctor like that, right? But being racist doesn't also mean that you can't do your job. You see what I'm saying? Like, listen, I've had guys who have worked on my house before, construction guys that were racist. How do I know this? They had tattoos to show it, like prison tattoos, like swastika tattoos and all of that. But I didn't think for 1 second this guy was going to do a bad job, because if he did, then I just wouldn't pay him, or I would somehow deduct whatever it is that was owed to them in some kind of way to compensate for their hard work or lack of, right? So, but then again, I could also understand why people would not be comfortable with that.
Or I should being a guest of major universities that tend to skew very liberal, and having a debate amongst the kids that go to school there.
All right, guys. So listen, we are heading into the bonus round right now. We're going to head into hour number 2 of a bonus round, right? We're going to talk about all sorts of things, random things. We're going to try to break down different types of topics, different types of stances in the world, different types of opinions. And we're just going to talk MMA and geopolitics and everything that is going on in the news. Stay tuned. All right, we're going to go for a bonus stream right now. Hate Love says, oh, I see it from your point now. I just have a different experience. Yeah, that's completely fine, right? Look, there's a part of me where I wouldn't feel comfortable being with a racist doctor either, right? The Dead Boy says, yeah, it's so much moral grandstanding and pearl clutching when they are the first to mock someone for dying. Okay, very interesting point right there, Dead Boy. I'm going to mark your comment right there, okay? That's a very interesting comment. All right, guys, listen, stay tuned for hour number 2. We're going to get to the bonus stream right now.
And it started out, what, in 2012?
12 or 13, yeah.
I mean, this is not... Charlie?
TKO says, same people screaming we're a Christian nation. Were they, when the government's changing the laws, men can marry another man and get married certificate? Not so Christian, is it? For F's sakes. You know what? I'm going to mark that comment right there, TKO. That's a very interesting comment right there. While I get ready to take this into hour number 2, I'm going to take you on the road with me, guys, okay? So listen to Bubba the Army. By the way, good friend of Hulk Hogan before he passed away. I know a lot of you anti-racists are going to love that. But yeah, check out what he had to say about Charlie here, and I'll see you guys in a second. Hate Love says, TKO, you're on point, bro. Shout out to you. All right, see you guys in a second, okay?
Kirk is very much a very recognized and very much a very popular and, you know, very famous person in today's world, but came from very humble beginnings. In 2012, I can remember me looking at some of the Turning Point stuff, and there'd be like 12 people there. I mean, he really built this thing up through great marketing, through great content, and through, more importantly, great debate. That's exactly what we're supposed to do, debate.
When I got home last night, Gigi, our daughter, just ran into my arms. And I talked to her, and she said, Mommy, I missed you. I said, I missed you too, baby. She goes, where's Daddy? What do you tell a 3-year-old? She's 3. I said, baby, Daddy loves you so much. Don't you worry. He's on a work trip with Jesus.
That would be the hardest. Like, trying to explain to that 3-year-old who does not really understand life, doesn't really, probably even can't wrap their head around death, and especially not the way their father died. How do you, you know?
I mean, it's good that they were religious. I mean, so they have Jesus.
They have that mechanism, right? Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. I think that's paramount for this family.
Greg Gutfeld said that God would be asking Charlie Kirk for his autograph right now.
Hello, you're on the air. Last call before I got to get into words, and so I don't get too far behind. Hello.
Hello, you there?
Yes.
Hey, yeah, I've been listening to you forever, Bubba, but a question. So these kids with these gaming consoles, they have the ability to access the dark web, or whatever they call it, the underweb or the underground web, with gaming consoles, don't they?
Yeah, I think that.
But you can with your phone too.
You can. I mean, you can with anything that is
connected to the internet.
Anything that can be on the internet, you can get to these places. Yes, but yes, gaming consoles can. Yes.
And then, as far as like these universities and educational institutes, are they being taught to be radicalized in different institutes?
See, I asked Dan that yesterday by saying, is it the Generation X that just automatically wants to be weird and very, very much liberal, far extreme leftists, or are they being taught that with every class and every instructor and every teacher and professor that they go to? Which is which? Yeah. And I don't know how Dan answered that. Dan, how did you?
I answered there. First of all, I think that the generation of upper education, higher education, is super, super liberal. When I was in law school, I couldn't say anything conservative. I just had to keep my mouth shut because it was so liberal. And so it's a lot easier to. How do you change that?
Why did it change?
How do you change it?
I don't know.
When did it change? When did it change? It's been like that since the 80s and 90s. Higher education has always been better represented amongst Democrats than amongst the Republicans.
But how do
professors are like that? That's just where they gravitate to.
But how do you, in order to change it, sir, I think you'd have to do a mass cleansing of all these political, all these professors. And I don't know that that's obtainable. I don't think you can do that. I don't think that you can have a... Go ahead, bud.
I mean, can't they purge that from the universities or schools or pull it out?
They don't want to. Who's going to do that? The president's going to decide you're too liberal to be a college professor? There's going to be no professors. 90% of them are super liberal. It's just...
Well, he cut off funding like to Harvard.
Yeah, it got reversed by the court system.
By a federal judge.
This guy dropped out of college pretty quickly. Are we still blaming college for radicalizing him?
All right, y'all. We're into hour number 2 right now. Hold on just a second. Okay. All right, hour number 2. Let's get right to it. Bonus stream. This is the bonus round, so let's get this cracking. All right, let's see. DOA. I